This is Charlie with Boxing Focus, and a quick follow-up from last weekend. So as I was laying in my bed, being kicked in the back by my 3-year-old who didn't want to go to sleep and forced me to get up at 3-4 in the morning and get him bananas and milk. So I was enjoying the delights of parenthood. I was thinking about Tyson Fury and how I basically said that Chisora didn't show up, which I still think that's the case. I think Chisora just wasn't there mentally. But I think it was a little bit, I think I underplayed how well Tyson Fury boxed. I thought he showed us that he is a very, very good technical boxer. He had great strategy, brilliant tactics. You fought a southpaw because that took away that overhand right from Chisora. He saw Tyson Fury because he's fighting as a southpaw, so his right hand's out in front, his left hand's here. He was catching. There was several times we just batted away Chisora's right hand, or he was leaning back away because he's got great vision for the right hand because his shoulders on the correct side, so he can see everything that's coming from Chisora's right hand side. So and he just took subtle movements with his feet he used subtle movements with his feet to take away Chisora's aggression, and it was just it was a boxing clinic, a very good display by Tyson Fury. And whilst I think Chisora could have done more to put pressure on Fury, the question I was asking to myself was if the best Derek Chisora had shown up, if the guy who came to really give a torrid fight to Vitaly Klitschko and to Robert Helenius, if that guy had shown up, would he have beaten Tyson Fury on last Saturday? And I think the answer is no. I think Fury still wins the vast majority of the rounds, even if maybe Chisora does not hurt Fury, but it does cause him a bit of trouble. But I think Fury was just boxing that well that wasn't, I don't think he was ever going to lose that fight. And it was remarkable how fresh Fury looked, considering he hadn't really had much going on in the last couple of years. He's obviously kept ticking over in the gym and done a lot of good sparring, but he's obviously just he's got it up there mentally. He's got it so that psychologically he's switched on. He's a bit like David Haye. David Haye doesn't need warm-up fights. They don't suffer. These kind of guys don't suffer from ring rust. They can just switch it on when they need to. Kind of like Sugar Ray Leonard, comes back after 2 years. When boxers have it up there, they don't need to shake off the ring rust. They don't need to sharpen up like that. They just need to train properly. And you saw that Tyson Fury had trained properly, and was fresh and had a good game plan, great strategy, and really, really good job. Very impressed. I thought that they were making a meal about Tyson Fury being in bed with a virus days before the fight. I think a lot of that's bullshit, if I'm honest. I think they're overplaying that. Perhaps he was a bit unwell, but shit happens. You don't train for 12 weeks and then lose your fitness in a few days. So good display by Tyson Fury. Eubank Jr. Obviously I called that fight incorrectly, as I did the Fury Chisora fight, but Eubank Jr. displayed a lot of the things that I'd seen in him in terms of the physical quality, the determination, the strength, the raw talent. He just obviously needs to work on the technical side of his game. But I saw somebody, I won't name who, criticise whoever was advising Eubank Jr. for taking the Billy Joe Saunders fight. And that's what's wrong with boxing, man. People say, oh, don't fight him, you might lose to him. That's bullshit. Eubank Jr., that is the best thing that could have happened to his career. He will have learned more in that fight than the rest of his fights put together, and he will know more from that fight in terms of how to improve himself than he would have ever learned fighting journeymen, bums, even guys that perhaps are physically able to compete at European level but that technically aren't as good as a Billy Joe. So I think it was a good thing for Eubank Jr. to have fought Billy Joe Saunders, and I think more boxers should be encouraged to take on the best possible opponents that they can get, because that is how they learn more quickly, and that's how they become better fighters. You don't have this nonsense in the world of MMA. In the UFC, guys who go into the UFC instantly go into competitive fights. And that's how boxing should be. And boxing would be a better sport for it. I hate the way that guys are encouraged to only fight people they think that they'll beat easily. It's absolute bullshit. So hats off to Billy Joe Saunders for taking a tough fight. Hats off to Eubank Jr for taking a tough fight. And they both learned a lot about themselves in it. I think Billy Joe Saunders must know he's got to be more professional outside the ring in terms of maintaining his physical readiness and not putting on weight, not drinking, stuff like that. And I think Eubank Jr has learned that he needs to listen to his trainers. So this is Charlie with Boxing Focus. Let me know if you're as irate as me about things that are said like, oh, don't fight him, you might lose. Yeah, but you might win. That's the thing. This is Charlie with Boxing Focus.